He's the Chief Visionary Officer and founder of BNI, the world's largest networking organization that has over 8,500 chapters worldwide. I'm delighted to welcome back and continue to have a conversation with Dr. Ivan Misner on Smalltalk. I'm your host, Javed Khan. Ivan Misner, welcome back to Smalltalk.
Javed, thank you for having me back. I appreciate. I must have passed the audition because you've had me back a number of times.
Yeah, we have definitely had you back on more than once, twice, thrice. So now this is going to be a very interesting, little different conversation, which I love because the whole show is about celebrating the art of the conversation. Now this conversation is all around, you talked about, people are setting up roadblocks for you. Yeah. Don't have it just stop there. And you say what's in the way becomes the way. And it's all about, not only it sounded to me when you kind of briefly explained it to me before we went and recorded this, you were talking to me about, roadblocks and don't have those roadblocks. Stop, find a way, take your energy and find a way to go around it. I'm very intriguing conversation here today, folks. So listen in and I'll pass the mic over to you, Ivan.
Yeah, thank you. So when I was a young boy in elementary school, all the way on, I did okay in school. I got pretty good report cards, but almost every report card, the teacher would say, "Oh, Ivan, he talks too much in class."
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, and I mean it was on almost every report card. And my mother, God bless her, she was so wonderful. She didn't, I say euphemistically, beat that out of me. I mean, she never beat me, but she didn't drum that out of me.
Right.
She would say to me, "Honey, tone it down, tone it down a little bit, but there are far worse things in life than to maybe talk too much. So tone it down and keep in mind that it's disruptive to the teacher." And I think because she was understanding of that, it didn't get drummed out of me by my teachers. And so I continued to get these report cards that said Ivan talks too much in class. Now, over the years, I was having this conversation with my wife a couple of years ago, and it struck me that I now talk for a living.
Jeez,
this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And it also hit me that oftentimes what is in our way can become our way. That for me, talking too much in class was thought of as a roadblock by my teachers. And they almost had me convinced of it. My mother, not so much. But there are so many things in my life that at first were a roadblock. And what you need to do, if you want to be successful in business, is try to make that roadblock into an overpass. I now get paid to speak. I get paid stupid money to speak. I speak to small groups, middle-sized groups, huge, giant groups. I'm a talker. I talk for a living. And so there are many things throughout my life. In 1985, I had a massive thing in my way. I lost a big client and I could hardly pay the mortgage on my new home. And that was a really big thing. And what I did was create a little networking group to help me get more referrals and to help my friends get referrals. And that's ended up becoming BNI, which now has almost 8,600 chapters in 73 countries. If that isn't a classic example of what's in the way became my way, there is none. And so I would suggest to your listeners, to your viewers, to think about the things that were once in their way and how they've used that and they've addressed their attention. They've focused their energy in a conscious way to have that work in their favor as opposed to have them stop. And maybe some of you have stopped doing things that were in your way, but maybe you should have focused more on. Go back to some of that.
Right.
And embrace it, because to be your authentic self, you have to embrace those things that you're passionate about. And talking was one, and it ended up working pretty well for me.
Jeez, how inspiring is that, folks? That is amazing. And if you want to hear more from Ivan, there's previous conversations we've had with him. You can go to ivanmisner.com. You want to get to know a little bit more about this organization that he started just because he wanted to get some people together to help him in terms of some referral sources. BNI, go to bni.com. And as I mentioned, and I mentioned prior, take it for a test drive. I'm sure there is a chapter or two in your community. Take it for a test drive. See how it is. It's extremely successful. Ivan already mentioned some of the stats. So Ivan, it's always a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you so much. Very inspiring today in terms of this conversation. And I am sure we will have other conversations in the near future.
Java, thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you to Dr. Ivan Misner of BNI for being on Small Talk. You can also listen to the show as part of our podcast series. Now it's your turn. Please comment, subscribe, and share. If you've got a topic you'd like to discuss on the show, please give me a call or send me an email. We'll talk with you next time.
Oh,